I would like to call on one of our members, Linda Waterhouse, to lead us in the pledge. Please rise. Thank you. I'd like to ask the city clerk to read the roll, please.
Chairman Hershenson.
Present.
Vice Chairman Townsend.
Present.
Member Lombardo.
Here.
Member Waterhouse.
Present.
Member Doogie.
Present.
Member Brown. Here. And Member Steve Lohan asked to be excused today. We have a quorum.
At this time, I'd like to ask if anybody who's here would like to speak on any item on the agenda. This is your opportunity to step forward to the podium and speak.
Chairman, we have 3 registered speakers. I'll call their names. Tina Buell, and she'll be followed by Jim Weeks. Please come up to the lectern and restate your name.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Tina Buell. Just for background information, we are the real estate agents that are working with the Historic Society. I had the pleasure of working with the Oglesby family. They are located in Georgia. I am a lifelong resident of Bonita Springs and a member of the Historic Society myself. So I'd like to read a letter of support from the Oglesby family into the record, if that's possible. A letter of support from the Oglesby family. Our family has deep roots in Bonita Springs. The history of this city is our family history, and the McSwain family is part of that story. Our connection runs to Elizabeth McSwain, her daughter Inez, her granddaughter Elise Oglesby Cooley, and the generations that followed. This is why we are proud to support the Bonita Springs Historical Society and provide a new home for the historic McSwain Home Museum and Gardens on our family property. To us, this is more than moving an old house. This home represents the people who came before us, families who worked hard, raised their children here, and helped build the community that became Bonita Springs. We have watched Bonita Springs grow and change over the years. Change is a part of life, but it is also important to hold on to the pieces of our history that remind us from where we came from. Having the McSwain home on land connected to McSwain descendants feels right to our family. It gives the home a place where it can be cared for, shared with the community, and passed on to future generations. We are happy to be part of preserving this piece of Bonita Springs history, our own family history, and we fully support the Bonita Springs Historical Society's efforts to protect this historical home so it can be remembered and shared for generations to come. Sincerely, the Oglesby family. Thank you.
Jim Weeks, and he'll be followed by Linda Lyles.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jim Weeks. I'm a member of one of the pioneer families, Weeks Fish Camp off Coconut Road. And I really love the history of Bonita. You all know that from the days of me saving Weeks Fish Camp, keeping it open to the public. It doesn't look the same, but it's still open to the public, and I can share the history down there as well. I joined the society after I retired early this year in February. Looking forward to speaking and having sharing the history and doing PowerPoints and whatnot. But I haven't had that opportunity because of all that's been going on around us. But trust me, you guys are doing good for the city of Bonita Springs. I've heard people say that you revived it and you kept it alive. But I think it's time for us to move the house to a more suitable location so that we can share the history of Bonita with generations to come. I'm not one of those to complain and say that you've ruined the city of Bonita. You haven't. I'm here to help you save the city of Bonita and share it with others so that this move would increase what we have and the opportunity to do that with the gardens, with the house, with the home, and I think it's going to set us in the future for the next 20 years. Thank you.
And the final registered speaker is Linda Lyles.
Good morning, Linda Lyles, and I am
blessed to have married into a pioneer family. My husband is Byron Lyles, and he's not able to be here this morning, so I'm going to be reading something from him. But I have been a member, part of Bonita Springs since 1970 when we got married, and I loved hearing stories my father-in-law told about Bonita Springs from the time he was born in the early 1900s. And my husband and I are currently docents every Saturday for the last year of the McSwain House. And so we are totally in favor of helping this house to be preserved even in a new location. And so I'd like to read this letter from my husband. He wasn't able to come this morning. Dear Bonita Springs Historical Society, he wrote it for them. And I am expressing my support for the Bonita Springs Historical Society and its plans to preserve and relocate the historic McSwain Home Museum and Gardens. The McSwain home is an important part of Bonita Springs history. Preserving the home means preserving a tangible connection to the people and families who help shape our community. I'm a lifetime resident of Bonita Springs, 83 years old, and I am, in fact, a direct descendant of the McSwain Lyles families who migrated to survey 126 years ago. I have been an active member of the Bonita Springs Historical Society since 1987, and I too have been, and am very supportive of the Society's efforts to make sure this historic home has a sustainable future. I support the relocation of the historic McSwain Home Museum and Gardens and the Historical Society's efforts to preserve this important piece of Bonita Springs history, and it being in a location that is also already part of the McSwain family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay, let's move on to new business. I'd like to ask the city clerk to read the item aloud.
Item 5A is heritage tree removal, Rivanna Lakes mixed-use plan development, all phases, located at 14260-14820 Bonita Beach Road Southeast. And Laura Gibson will lead the presentation. She is our environmental specialist.
Good morning, Laura Gibson with Community Development. I'm going to allow the landscape architect for the project to present it to you, and I'll follow up if you have any questions.
Good morning. Sabrina McCabe. I'm a licensed landscape architect in the state of Florida. I work with RVI Planning and Landscape Architecture. I have here the Seagate team, the developer on this project. And do I start the presentation? I just have a short presentation to show you all. Laura and I met out in the field and had a site meeting. She went through the woods with me to locate these trees as well and to confirm what we're going to be removing and then we will be mitigating for.
Antonio, will you help Sabrina pull up her slides?
You know which one is it?
But the plant, yeah, that's
Want to start with this one,
yes, that's the first one.
so it can go up and down with the mouse. Okay.
And then I'll go back to that. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. I'll be louder. So to start, you can see here, this is our overall site plan. We have submitted in the first phases of this. It contains a commercial tract in the southeast corner, and then the rest is residential. We went ahead and did an inventory of the entire site because part of the lakes will be during that first phase. So we want to make sure we captured as many as possible. It is thick out there. The second slide I have has some images, but you know, I think to start, when the team did their assessment early on, they really did a great job at preserving the best and the largest of the heritage trees in the preserve areas. So we walked through a lot of it and saw a lot of that in Preserve 4, Preserve 2, and 1. So what you're seeing is the trees that are at a 20-inch or greater DBH that we measured, and we have a list at the top corner that says what species they are, their size, and due to the conflicts, we will then be replacing them. Each tree will be replaced at a minimum with a 4-inch, 20-foot height tree of a native species, and on our plans, we'll be showing those proposed locations and how we meet that requirement as we submit our DO set. So as you'll notice in the first southeast corner in the commercial tract, there was one tree. That is an oak that is in conflict with building placement. And then as we walked through, there were a lot of gorgeous trees, but as you get to the middle, most of them were not of the size. As you head further west on the property, you see this tree located here. We had a pine here that we're going to be replacing. And then the rest of these located to the north are oaks. And they are all within the development area and close to the border. But it did look like they would be impacted. So all of those locations we assessed, and then we'll be replacing those. As we got into this deeper, there were some areas that, as I mentioned, very thick. I've talked with Laura, and we're open to adding that stipulation that as we get into the exotic clearing and further into the site, that we'll evaluate, and if we do find another tree that fits that size, that especially into this future area, we'll add that and amend this exhibit and account for that. I'm going to go back. Oh no. I think I got it. And so second sheet, same chart, just shows some more imagery of what we found. That first one on the commercial tract here, tricky to get to because there is water in that canal right now. And then you'll see the pine of size here, site on photo 2. And then as you get into it, you can see we have some really interesting shaped trees and trunks. We also reviewed those with our in-house arborist, the shapes of them. So you'll see in our chart, we just note their condition of their trunks. But these are 6 of the 8 trees. We were measuring their trunks and sizes. A lot of them have kind of multi-trunk. So I learned how to measure that correctly with Laura. And so we will be accounting for all 8 of the trees, and these were all the photos that we took at the time. So I think that is it for the presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions of the board members?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Just curious, that looks like 2 and 3 are healthy. If I'm able to read it, it looks like 2 might be in an area that's kind of on the edge of some property that you're planning on building. Has there been any consideration for layout adjustments to save, since looks like there's 2 healthy trees, the rest maybe have issues?
We have, especially this one that's located on the edge. If this can be saved, we'll make efforts. It's right on the edge of the preserve. Right now, we're not able to have full staking and without the clearing to really gauge it. So I wanted to include that one just to make sure if it is impacted that we replace it. But if it's at all able to be saved, we'll update this exhibit as well. It does look like that one was on the border, but it was just tricky to tell if it was in the preserve edge enough or it was on the lake bank. We are at the minimum, we are at what we need for lake water, stormwater acreage, so I know that's a sensitive one to adjust. But and the same with some of these on the northern edge, once we get into it, if this is a few feet out of it and can be saved with grading, I would be happy to save it and preserve it. Because of their structure and a lot of them with the multi-trunk, I think it would be very challenging to successfully relocate these. But I also got to see how many we're saving out there, which, I know we're doing our best to try to save as many as possible. But those are notated, and if they are able to remain, we'll make that effort.
One one other quick question. There's, I believe, a 3-year commitment when you're replanting the appropriate trees to keep them healthy, I guess. Is there an irrigation and maintenance plan for those guys?
We will have full irrigation for all code required trees. The areas of preserve and restoration will be planted with native species that we don't typically run irrigation into a preserve. But anything outside of that, that's common area where we're planting both our heritage trees and general trees, will have irrigation and will be maintained to stay alive.
Thank you.
We
I have a
also,
question, just you have can you identify the species you plan to use?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right, could you please?
Thank you. Yeah, and that's actually what we were discussing. So right now, we had what we had submitted already, we were showing oak trees, live oaks. We're considering the pines if they're in the appropriate spot, just to make sure they're in the upland going forward. We also talked about, because pines can be challenging to get at a 20-foot height, that it would be acceptable to do potentially a 12 to 14-foot 2-to-1. So smaller size, but 2-to-1. So we are looking at trying to use the same native species that are out on site for these heritage replacement trees, which are majority oaks. But we are open to using other native species of that size that meet the requirement, which we discussed: oaks, pines, cypress, and maples.
I'm kind of pleased to hear that. You see where over the years on a lot of projects, live oaks have been planted. However, the developers at the time never took into consideration where they were located on the property, and that's creating a lot of problems. So it's nice to hear that you're considering other species, because sometimes the space is just not there. I mean, it's wonderful to have a canopy, across the street, but you got to have the room for it.
Exactly. Yes, agreed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else with any questions? Is there anybody else going to present anything on this? Oh, you're all set. So
For this one,
at this point, I'd like to ask if what the action would be on the part of any board member. So please go right ahead and make a motion, if you wish.
Motion to authorize the Heritage Tree Replacement Program as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Second. All right. At this time, any more discussion on the board, by the board? All those in favor of approving this request, please signify.
I'll record a roll
Oh, sorry,
call
call
vote.
the board, I'm sorry. Call a roll. I'm thinking I'm running an HOA meeting, but go ahead.
Member Brown, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Lombardo,
Yes.
Chairman Hershenson,
Yes.
Member Waterhouse,
Yes.
Member Doogie,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Townsend.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you.
Got to
Thank you,
remember
Laura.
where I'm at. All right, next item is item number 6. I'd like to ask the city clerk to read the item aloud.
Item 6A is review and consideration of approval of the application for a special certificate of appropriateness to authorize the relocation of the McSwain House. And Senior Planner Mike Fegan will present.
Good morning, everybody. Mike Fegan with Community Development for the record. Good to be with you this morning. It's been a little while since I've seen you, so I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of this, and then I'm going to turn it over to representatives of the Bonita Springs Historical Society, as this is their request. So if you remember correctly, back in December of last year, City Council voted to give you authority over historic preservation matters within the city. And this is an example of one of those matters that would have otherwise come before the city's Historic Preservation Board, which now comes under your purview. So the request is for a certificate of appropriateness to be able to relocate a designated historic structure. The structure is the McSwain home. It currently is located on Old 41, 27451 Old 41 Road next to Sugar Shack, and they are requesting to relocate from that particular parcel to a property on the corner of Pine Avenue and Terry Street. So still in the downtown district, but just a little bit out of what we call the core of the district, a little less hustle and bustle where they're proposing to move to. As far as your purview with the review, one of the things that I wanted to outline in the synopsis of the case for you are the relocating criteria, if you will, that you are to consider. And what the applicant, the Historical Society, has done is they have provided a presentation and a narrative that will be based on those criteria for you. So that way you'll be able to verify whether or not you feel they are checking off the necessary boxes. If you think they are, you vote accordingly. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. Feel free to ask me. We're here to answer anything that you might have. Before I turn it over to them, are there any questions as far as procedurally that you might have for me or anything else?
I just have a question. and
Sure.
It's really probably being from New England where everything is historic, including me. The question I have is when a site that is considered to be an historic site is moved, does that affect the, quote, value of that particular structure relative to its historic significance? In other words, there's movement from one, say, Lot A to Lot D. Does that change the value of that as a historic place?
Excellent question. So it depends how the original designation report was written. If it was written in such a way that designated the structure and the property, or just the structure. In this case, only the structure was designated. So the property that it currently sits on is not of historic significance according to the preservation report. So that's why they're here, just to discuss movement of the structure itself. What could happen is that if a structure is relocated to a new property, sometimes the state, for historic preservation purposes, isn't necessarily a fan of that in terms of providing grant opportunities for structures that are being relocated. But it does not damage their designation. It does not damage their designation on the city's local list. It does not damage their ability to seek local grant funding through the city. So there is still very much a designated structure in the eyes of the city if it relocates.
Thank you.
So with that, I will turn it over to the Bonita Springs Historical Society for their presentation.
Okay, what if I have to go back? Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Griffith. I'm the Vice President of the Bonita Springs Historical Society. The Bonita Springs Historical Society is a 501c3 charitable organization. It is not an extension of the city of Bonita Springs, and it does not depend upon city funding. If I direct you to the photo that's on the screens right now, and you imagine that you're standing at the base of the screen, looking down the street at the automobile, that is greater downtown Bonita Springs in the early 1900s. On the left-hand side is the historical McSwain home. Where the automobile is sitting is sort of the intersection where the roundabout is at the south end. On the right-hand side would be Pennsylvania Avenue. On the left-hand side would be Ragsdale. So that is where the home of For Heaven's Shakes Ice Cream is these days, as well as the flower shop. Across the street from that is the fire department. So if you've driven through downtown Bonita Springs, you now know that it's vastly different than this photo indicates. There have been a lot of changes down there, and we are supportive of the tremendous amount of progress that has happened there. However, it has left this home as one of the few remaining residential properties that faces Old 41 Road. When it was built, this was called Heitman Avenue, and then it became Tamiami Trail, and then the trail was redirected, and now it is Old 41 Road. The other remaining historical homes is the one sitting near the vehicle, and that is the Cordell Smith home that has actually most recently been used as commercial as a veterinary clinic, as well as the Fleming home, which is closer to the Shangri-La Hotel. This home, as you can imagine growing up, especially if you're from New England, has all of the attributes of an old home. You can hear every footstep, every creaking floorboard, every squeaking door, and there is no R factor. This has the R factor of a brown bag from a grocery store. So we hear everything that happens downtown, whether it's sirens, exhaust vehicles, live music, etc. It's a great location, and the city is walkable. However, we're also met with a tremendous amount of challenges with regard to our clientele and visitors and people attending our events being able to physically get to the property. The closest parking we have is adjacent in the bioreactor, and that is a considerable walk for some of our aging population and people with mobility issues. Our mission is to preserve, protect, and promote the history of Bonita Springs. This home is a very large part of it, but there are other assets that we do have. Artifacts, we have items in storage that we're not able to display, and we are now not able to also have some of our speaking engagements outside in our education center. We're asking the board to consider this proposed move so that we can preserve this property, the home itself, as well as expand our education and our learning and our speaking engagements. The historical character and aesthetic of the McSwain home is really quite interesting. It is an old craftsman design, and as I explained a little bit ago, there's not a whole bunch to it. It has the wavy glass, the pulley-driven windows, single pane. If we walked out of this room right now, we might walk into a thunderstorm we don't even know that's happening, and that doesn't happen at the McSwain home. It is elevated. We are surrounded by sound that comes from under it, on the sides, and through the windows. This is a home of many pioneer families. Many people were born in this home and drew their last breath to go see the Lord in this home. And many people throughout town of storied last names have also either played in this home, lived in this home, or visit the home regularly as docents or as visitors. What has really changed around this home is the environment. And some of that has to do with form-based code. It's helped make the city be a little bit of a more condensed place where people can walk and go to multiple establishments, park and go to concerts in the park, the art shows, all of the wonderful things that happen downtown. But it also has created a lot of noise and a lot of challenges with regard to holding our regularly scheduled events. And we asked ourselves, how do we best preserve this home? We've limited our hours, and we try to do things during the daylight hours if it's possible. We've even had to move our board meetings from the evenings after work to 10 in the morning, where we're able to actually have a conversation around the kitchen table. We're proposing that this relocation happen just so that we can expand the education and get more people to the home. We don't share the clientele that a lot of the other businesses have downtown. A lot of tourism depends upon seeing historic properties, going to historical walks, doing things that they learn about the city and about the prior residents of the city. Also impacted has been our gardens. We've lost a lot of trees because of the zero lot line, and many of them just weren't prepared for the scorching Florida sun and the lack of water and the lack of shade. We've rebounded a little bit with the summer rains and the things that are happening down there, but we did lose a lot of our gardens. We have pollinator-friendly garden, we have food forests, banana circles, we grow a variety of native plants and fruits that the pioneer families would have grown when they lived in that property. That's what led us to Pine Avenue. Sometimes preservation actually does require a move to continue it. So we will also bring to attention some of the other homes that have been moved in the area, including the Nutting home that was moved over near Pennsylvania and Tennessee Street. Nutting is E.P. Nutting, who developed Nutting Lake at Groves that backs to Riverside Park, as well as the Packard home that moved from Dean Street, sort of where the Canary Club restaurant is, moved over to Pennsylvania and Tennessee Street, and the Haldeman home, which was moved from Naples to Bonita Springs to preserve that historic home. We're proposing this new setting on Pine Street because it is a little bit more on the residential side, and it will be a little quieter, a little bit slower pace, and appeal to a crowd that is more interested in the learning and historical aspect than the nightlife. The Avenue property is slightly larger, and it will allow us to expand the gardens, but it will still keep the home as the centerpiece of the property. And we're hoping that this will help preserve this authentic piece of Florida history as well. The structure, we've already started investigating whether or not it can be moved, and of course, many of the vendors that we've spoken with, surveyors, engineers, developers, and even home movers in the past, have already come forward to help us through this. We do have sister organizations such as the Estero Historical Society and the Everglades Historical Society, who have both moved and restored structures. We've counted on them for some of their advice and insight, and then they've also shared some of these vendors with us. We've been assured that the property can be moved using the best historical practices, documenting the structure before the move, during the move, using hydraulic lifts to get it off the current foundation that it's on, as well as making sure that it is structurally strapped, braced, and moved, and then put on a new engineered foundation at the Pine Avenue location, reassembled, making sure that if anything was disassembled for the move or anything was, I guess, broken or altered, that it would be reconstructed with the same methods and sourced materials to make it as compliant as possible. The object is to remove the home, but preserve its historic character, the craftsmanship, the architectural integrity, and make sure that it keeps that old Florida look. The proposed site for the McSwain home, we believe it provides a historically, architecturally, and contextually compatible setting, most especially because the McSwain descendants have come forward and offered a place for this home. They, of course, have been approached by many developers and have many opportunities to award this land to somebody, and they felt so driven and empowered by what was happening here. They've offered to have the home be on their property. And we're thrilled to do that because it adds an entire historical layer and preserves this home going forward into the future. They are direct descendants of the McSwain family. Most importantly, it gives us an opportunity to continue this home's public, educational, and preservation mission. There will be expanded gardens. We plan on moving a chickee hut. We're hoping to move the chickee hut that we have, but we will be able to move many of the things that we have on site, including our shed, to the new property with the help of the professional movers. In addition to the location where the home is, I know today is, the city is voting, and I know that the BERT referendum is on the ballot, but we will just be a few hundred feet from where the BERT trail is. So that will offer another avenue of people that could be passing through the area, coming through and visiting the property if it does pass. In addition to that, the Historical Society about a year ago did apply with the state of Florida for designation for the city of Bonita Springs called Trail Town, and it is separate from the BERT Trail. Trail Town is a designation awarded to cities that have very walkable cities, tremendous amounts of hiking trails, biking routes that are pre-built specifically for cycles, as well as kayaking access, canoeing access, any type of water access for the man-powered watercraft. And as you know, the Estero River, Lightner Creek, and Oak Creek run through Bonita Springs, as well as the Blue Way trails. So with the help of the city of Bonita Springs, working with them to get this Trail Town designation, it will attract a different type of clientele that will come to the McSwain home also as a welcome center for that organization to bring in the historical tourist that is also interested in nature. Right where that trail meets West Terry Street, there's also a street called South Riverside Drive, and many people don't know that, but if you were to turn on South Riverside Drive, about 10 lots up on the left-hand side, there is a footpath access to Island Park, which has the red metal footpath bridge that goes over to Depot Park and Riverside Park. So there's direct connectivity through downtown from the new location of the McSwain home through the entire parks process, involving not just the city of Bonita Springs Park and Rec, but also the Trail Town and connecting people from the downtown commerce area to the more historical area. The Pine Avenue property also is very close to the Bonita Springs Middle School, so we're looking forward to expanding some educational projects with the help of the school, providing day trip, field trips to the students as well. So we just want to assure everybody that this home will stay in Bonita Springs. We don't have an intention of having it move anywhere outside of the Bonita Springs area. This early image of Bonita Springs reminds us that things change a lot. The road has changed names several times, and the environment has certainly changed. And in order to preserve this home, we feel the next best step to ensure its next 100 years is to move it to a different location where it will be more of the crown and the jewel of Bonita Springs and be an open access place for tourism, visitors, people that come to walk our trails, and people that come to visit our downtown area, enjoy its restaurants that are now receiving Michelin acclaim, and it will be more of a destination location for other people. We're respectfully asking the board to approve the certificate of appropriateness to help us preserve, protect, and promote the history of Bonita Springs as well as the historic McSwain home. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank you. That was a very excellent presentation.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to ask a side question, which really has nothing to do with what's ahead of the board, but I was just kind of curious. The building, or the land, it's owned by the Historical Society, correct? You plan to hold on to that land, or you have no plans for the future? It's just a curious question.
Well, you know, I think probably the next best steps for this property is the sale of the land. We have no use for it from a historical standpoint. And it might present a lovely endowment to help care for this land, to keep it out of the city hands or the responsibility of any government organization. We don't want this home to cost taxpayer dollars. We do make our money from memberships, donations. We do get donations in kind from developers, engineers, et cetera. But we also do receive sponsorships, bequests from people who pass away and leave money. And it would just be a way to ensure that this home is cared for. You know, it's an old home. And, you know, last year about this time, we were dealing with termites. You know, there's always something with an old home. So, you know, we don't want it to become anybody's responsibility except for a private responsibility.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Anybody else?
Maybe
Questions?
go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe a follow-up question, semi-related to what Ben asked. You're going from a situation, it looks like you own the land, now you're going to be leasing, is that correct?
Correct.
And it sounds like a good marriage. The
Yes.
existing landowners are a perfect fit. So it's a very low-risk question, but in a lease structure, have there been considerations for safeguards or covenants
Yes.
to ensure
Yes.
that it lives on? Okay.
Yes. Going forward after the fact, there are extensions and other items that have been discussed. They're just not available for public fodder right now.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special certification of appropriateness for this project.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Just for the record, I would just say that the 6 criteria that seems to be all have been addressed or answered.
Are there any more questions on by the board on any issues related to the motion? Hearing none, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Townsend,
Yes.
Member Doogie,
Yes.
Member Waterhouse,
Yes.
Member Lombardo, Member Brown, Chairman Hershenson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Unanimous.
All right, the next item on the agenda is dealing with item 7. Please, the clerk had to read the item on item 7 on the agenda.
Sure, item 7 is the review and approval of the invoice for oral tradition projects, fiscal year 25-26, and once again, Senior Planner Mike Fegan will present the item.
Good morning, everyone. So one of the line items in the historic preservation budget is known as a projects line item. And typically in the past, the way the board has utilized these funds are to work with Antonio here at the city to do sort of documentary style videos and projects on historically significant areas of the city, whether it's a building, a pioneer family, a specific location, whatever the case may be. And typically, when he's done with, typically what happens is he provides proposals to the Historic Preservation Board of areas to consider. They vote if they want to go ahead and consider it or move forward with a potential project, and then he goes forward, does his thing. When it's all completed, he emails us the links so we can watch the videos. They're also posted up on YouTube as well. And then after that, we usually pay him out what the costs were. So this was something that was blessed by the Historic Preservation Board itself in a previous fiscal year, and then earlier in this current fiscal year, but still before this board took over the duties, they went ahead and allowed Antonio to continue pursuing projects that he was not able to finish up in a previous fiscal year. Everything is completed now, so what you have before you is a copy of the invoice so we can get him paid for all of his hard work. The links to the videos were embedded directly into your agenda. If you clicked on it, it would take you right to the videos so you can see the absolutely incredible work that he does. So this is really just a formality at this point to go ahead and get him paid for all of his hard work.
One question is I'm assuming that the funds are still available.
They are.
Any other question? Go ahead.
Just this price is in place with what it has been in the past? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve the invoice as presented.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second. Sorry.
Any further discussion? All those, the clerk, please read the roll.
Member
Sorry,
Doogie,
like I'm at a HOA
Yes.
meeting. God.
Member Waterhouse,
Yes.
Chairman Hershenson,
Yes.
Member Lombardo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Townsend,
Yes.
Member Brown. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from May 19th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right, we're ready for adjournment, and I want to announce that the next meeting is tentatively scheduled for 9 a.m. on September 15. Thank you all very much. Meeting is adjourned.